Hello, dear students and researchers. Today we are going to talk about the research designing strategies and some basics of doing research. It is our fifth topic on our course series of research methodologies. My name is Dr. Mohammad Irfan Maksood, and I am discussing the topics. In previous sections, we talked about the basic architectures of our research papers. How to start means how we are building the basic architectures while we are writing a research paper. We talked about the philosophy of research, means 5WH of doing research. We talked about the basic knowledge of scientific writings, mean what kind of scholarly publications are, what are scholarly publishers, how a scholarly publications is different from a general publications of media groups, what are the web tools and software used while writing our research papers and in scientific research, and all the components of a scientific papers and research. We also talked about how to do the critical readings, how to do the literature review analysis, how to create the questions and how to find out the answers, and how to enlarge your concepts in research to complete your articles. Now we are going to talk about the research designing strategies. Research designing strategies actually are the strategies where you are answering your basic questions of research you are going to start to understand the research. As we talked about, research designing strategies are divided into four components. The first thing is the defining the research objectives and the purpose of a study, doing the critical readings and literature review analysis, and defining what nature of the research works we are going to do. Primary research work or secondary research works based on the data you are going to collect or generate, or based on the data analysis which is already been collected or generated by someone else. We also talked about the research approaches, means we have two research approaches, qualitative research approach and quantitative research approach. Both quantitative and qualitatives are further divided into four types of research approaches. We will again talk about these things. And also the basics of the data collection and analysis. By completing these four segments, we design our research. So before doing a research, we should we should design our research. Designing research is very important because suppose if you want to design a room and you put a lot of tables and chairs and every stuff there and you are starting managing it, means first put the tables there, chairs there's bed there's a lot of things you are regularly changing and you are not finding a fitting way. But when you design it before putting all the things on the in the room, and then you can easily arrange all the things accordingly. So the research designing is also the same like interior designing, the houses, the architectures, and all these things, because we have to finalize some basic pillars. We have to finalize some basic necessities. So these are the four segments of designing our research. These four segments are giving the answers of everything. Means what is the purpose of this research, which we have talked about, doing the critical readings and literature review. We are finding out the what is the purpose of this research, why we want to do this research, and studying the literature review to justify why it is important to do this research. So after that, you have to define what type of the research work is this, what is the research approach or the research approaches you are following this, how to perform or do the research, means you are going to generate the data, you are analyzing the data, you are collecting how you are generating the data, and then how you are analyzing the data, and what are the conclusions. So these basic 6 questions in these 4 segments actually are defining your research designs. When you have the answers of all these things, you collected everything, you did analysis, you finalize the things, then the process of writing a research paper starts, which is a cycle of repeating actions of writing, editing, and formatting. For example, I'm putting an examples of my own published work, mesenchymal stem cell-based therapy for osteodiseases. In this title, if you see this title actually is divided into three sections: the problem, the solution, and how to solve it. Means what is the problems? The osteodiseases. The osteodiseases, which are the diseases related to the bone. What is the solutions? The mesenchymal stem cells, and how we can use these solutions to solve the problems, means to do the therapy, means transplant these mesenchymal stem cells for the osteodiseases. So your title actually explaining your research, the complete research, the purpose of research, the therapeutic ways, the methodologies, the everything. So some basic answers you are giving just only with the titles. So here we used our clinical data sets, because in clinical we cannot use the Google data sets or some generals. There are some specific clinical data sets known as the clinical trials.gov, which are currently being managed by the National Library of the Medicines, and these are the trials run by the government of the United States. Here you have the data about all the therapeutic clinical trials of the mesenchymal stem cells for all diseases. So the raw data that was there, so we downloaded this data following the secondary research approach. We analyzed the data, we find out, for example, we divided the data and we find out some pieces of knowledge. Means first we divided the diseases and the clinical studies using the mesenchymal stem cells. We find out that 21% mesenchymal stem cells are the clinical trials are based for the bone and cartilage diseases, means the osteodiseases. Also, the years of these clinical trials using the mesenchymal stem cells, and an emerging rate we saw in 2011 and 12. And then the downs, and also in last years, again, the mesenchymal stem cells before COVID, the increase at very exponential rate. Then also we categorize the data into several phases, means the phases which are in the research designing strategies but approved. Phase 1 they have started, and the finished and clinical trial phase. Also the 8% research they were registered there, but their status is announced, means their research is proposed but might not be finished. What is the status? The institutes, they did not update the status. Also, what countries they are doing the research. They have done clinical trials on this using the mesenchymal stem cells. We find out at that times all the countries, and also what is the current status of these clinical trials, means how much ongoing. This paper was published in 2013, so you can say in 2013, 64% projects were ongoing, 23% were just finished, and might be current status is the entirely different, I'm sure. And by using this, we extracted the data from clinical trials, we did a comprehensive analysis, we created stories, and then we published our research in the Cell Biology International, prestigious journals in cell biology, having an impact factor 3.9 and globally well indexed. In this, you can see the articles. Our articles, mesenchymal stem cell based therapy for osteodiseases, published there. And this is the first page of the articles that we published in 2013. So it was a secondary research work based on the quantitative research approach. We did a comprehensive analysis and we published as a mini review. Also, so here we can define again what we can discuss what are the primary research and secondary research, and we all said that secondary research work is a research method that uses data that was collected by someone else. So we also followed the secondary research work based approaches on the quantitative analysis. So which was based on the variables, frequencies, averages, and correlations of, for example, therapeutic approaches with the diseases using some kind of variables like the mesenchymal stem cells, their frequencies, averages, how they are happening, in which countries they are happening, what are their phases. So we did complete comprehensive analysis. So I'm going to talk about another examples, my own research paper published, entitled as the adipose-derived mesenchymal stem cells express keratinocyte lineage markers in aquaculture models. Here you can see a graphical abstract, a general research scheme, or you can say a kind of research designs. This is what we are talking about. Means you design some basic things, what is happening. Of course, this is a graphical abstract, but in a generalized scheme of research designs, you answer all the basic questions. In this, we used a very comprehensive methodologies. You can say about 18 steps, 18 methodologies we applied, from collecting the ethical statements and approvals to isolate the cells, to do analysis, to their models, developing different models, using one model as a paper, and then doing a comprehensive analysis on what is happening, what kind of cell lineage they are expressing, and then a statistical analysis. So it was a kind of about 2.5 years research work. We generated a lot of data, and from that data, we published one conclusions. So here, it's a generalized schemes of the papers that we developed some kind of primers, and then we did some basic morphological studies, the chemical studies, the biochemical analysis, the different day intervals, their cellular behaviors, the expressions of genes, and several other essays. And after that, our articles was published in, you can see here, in Cell and Molecular Biology, French journals, and in 2016. So it was a primary research work based on the quantitative research approach. So what is the primary research approach? Again, the research that you are conducting yourself. And it was in-depth analysis, in-depth research work that took 2.5 years to complete it. And also, it was the kind of quantitative analysis. Again, so we studied what are the factors, several models as I discussed, and from there, we find out the co-culture models as the best models for expressing the lineage of another cells, decaying stem cells. So, in quantitative research designs, we talked about the experimental, the first, this was what we followed, means the experimental approach in quantitative research designs, where we were dependent on a lab, we did a comprehensive analysis, and research works, and all these things. I also published another paper or research articles entitled as a comprehensive comparative characterization of the keratinocytes, the significant wound healing agents. So here, again, you can see a lot of research work was done, lab work was done, a lot of analysis, where we developed an artificial skins. It's not an artificial, it's a kind of in vitro developed skins in the lab using these cells, which were used for the wound healing operations. So considering this, as the title is explaining, a comprehensive comparative characterization, this comprehensive comparative characterizations comes in the COSI experimental experiments, where we do the comprehensive analysis, compare with 2 results, 3 results, 4 results. In my first research works, we talked about co-culture models, I mean 1 models, but in second, we did a comprehensive analysis, comparative analysis, which is about the COSI experimental analysis, means different experiments happened in different labs, and then we are combining together. Also, related to the, of course, the correlations being correlated between research. Also, I published another paper on the symposium reports, means the first symposium on Y chromosome human proteome projects. And I participated in this whole project, this whole symposiums. Then I summarized this whole symposiums into 4 sections, into 2 sections, of course, based on the symposiums, means the first section and the second, and then 3 and 4, separated into these categories. I explained what the things have been discussed there, and also I talked with all the speakers, especially the persons from Japan who were handling this proteome projects, Y chromosome human proteome projects. And then I had a different comprehensive analysis, discussions with them, and reached new conclusions that when we are talking about the human proteome projects, then why we are not talking about the human transcript project? And by focusing on this, the necessity about the human transcript project here that I proposed, means we may need the human transcriptome project, and the doctors Yamamoto was agreed on this proposal. So he said yes, because first we completed the human genome project, then this is the human proteome project, and maybe in future we might have the human transcriptome project that will complete these links of the human biologies, the life. So I published this research, this work as an event report in the Cell Journal TFT. And you can say here, we also have some case studies focusing on the event, detailed study of an event, critical analysis of the event. And also it could be could be considered as a phenomenology, means focusing based on the participants' live experiences in the events. So then also I edited an article. I find out about the, for example, innovations and evolutionary stages of the modern Azerbaijani literatures toward the globalization. Here, which actually, when I received this article, it was a very rough draft. I edited this article. I edited comprehensively and gave a new shape, a new story. And here you can see it is about the Azerbaijani writers who are introducing some kind of postmodernistic ideas in the literature. Also, we discussed about the new trends in Azerbaijan in these literatures on the about the independence of the Azerbaijan, focusing on the territorial integrity. As you all guys know about, there was a Karabakh clash, which is finished now, and Azerbaijan maintained its territorial integrity. So this modern trend happened in the Azerbaijani literatures. The people were focusing, all the authors, all the intellectuals, the writers, they were focusing on the territorial integrity and presenting the value of the independence that became a part of the Azerbaijani literatures. And you see here we have, it was again a kind of qualitative research designs, a qualitative research project, focusing on the ethnography, means categorized as the ethnography, because we were talking about the very, because it had extensive immersion and close observations of the Azerbaijani authors. So during my past 10 years of my doing research, I published about 28 papers and I received about 524 citations. And the papers that I discussed here, for example, some here, you can see they received very good citations, and still I'm working on this. So now let's come again on what we are talking. We talked about in the management of the management sciences. When we use the SMEs, the small medium enterprises on the Googles, we find out there are a lot of published papers. You see here, for example, the some challenges being faced by the Malaysian SMEs, some challenges being faced by the Oman, SMEs in Oman, also the SMEs in the Ghana, the specifications SMEs in Oman and Oman. So you see, we can go for a kind of very deep and regional studies. We will go for one of these articles. For example, the finance and technology key challenges faced by small medium enterprises in Oman. In these articles, we can see that what they followed some kind of questionnaires, means they followed their research methodologies. They explained about they do study some methods. They retrieved the data from the governments. They divided their data. It was a mix of the primary and secondary research works, because they collected the data from the owners and employees of the SMEs. Also, they used the data published by the Public Establishment of Industrial Estates and the Ministry of Commerce Industry. So they also developed their data. They also use already published data using the first and primary and secondary research approaches. And they did a comprehensive data analysis on this. You see, they categorize the data into several sections. They then they find out, means the different factors. Then they categorize the data based on this. From all this, they did a comprehensive analysis, find out the percentages of the different statements. And after a complete comprehensive analysis, they reached a conclusions, means the key challenge to start or maintain a business, or the survival of the business, was the initial capital finance. So they just not focused on one thing, they also find out the second issues, the workforce. They also find out the third issues, the good location. So they did a comprehensive analysis of the challenges faced by the SMEs in Oman. So if you see here, it is called grounded theory, where we do a comprehensive, systematically analyze the qualitative data about the behaviors, about the attitudes, about the factors affecting the survivability and the success of a business. So you see, the fourth section of the research designs is about the data collection and analysis. Means you define which kind of data you are looking for, and you do the analysis, you generate new ideas, you find out some different things, and then based on some different things, you reach the conclusions, you made the conclusions, and then you published it in your research papers. You can read the Simplifying the Scientific Writings, also available on the Apple Books and on Android for details. And in case of any questions, do not hesitate to contact me on my social media at mimaksud.com. And also, you can write me an email mimaksud@gmail.com. Thank you and have a good day.